So you finally get that raise they promised for 2025. You check your bank account. It's there. A little bump. And for a second, it feels like a win. Then you go to the grocery store, grab a few basics, eggs, milk, bread, and poof. That extra money is gone before you even make it to the checkout. Meanwhile, Medicare just took a bigger bite out of your check, rent went up again, and no one's really explaining what's going on. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what's happening with your retirement income in 2025. What's changing, why it feels like you're falling behind, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll walk away with real tools, real options, and a better understanding of how to stay one step ahead, even when the system isn't keeping up. Because this isn't just about numbers. It's about your money, your peace of mind, and making sure you're not left behind. And trust me, by the time we're done, you'll know more than most folks in Congress. All right, let's start with that so-called raise. You might have heard that federal retirement benefits went up this year, and technically they did. It's called a cost of living adjustment, or COLA. Sounds fancy, but it's really just the government's way of saying, we see prices going up, so here's a little more to help you keep up. This time around, that adjustment came out to 2.5%. So if your monthly check was $1,600, you're now getting around $1,640. Not exactly life-changing, but it's something. This increase applies to anyone receiving benefits, whether that's through retirement, disability, or survivor support. If you're getting a check, the bump should already be there. And just to paint the full picture, over 67 million Americans are currently receiving monthly income from this system. In 2024, the total payout was more than $1.3 trillion. So yes, it's a massive program, a lifeline for a lot of us. But just because more people are receiving benefits doesn't mean it's keeping up with what life actually costs. Now here's why that raise didn't go far. On paper, it sounds helpful. But if you've been to the store or opened a bill lately, you know better. Prices are rising faster than ever. Groceries, gas, rent, prescriptions. Everything's more expensive than it was last year. And to make things worse, Medicare Part B premiums went up too. So before your increase even hits your account, a chunk is taken out to cover healthcare. Some folks are actually seeing smaller payments than last year, even after the adjustment. What's more, the government paid out over $1.3 trillion in benefits last year, but only collected around $1.23 trillion in payroll taxes. That gap was covered by dipping into the trust fund, which, by the way, isn't endless. If nothing changes, that fund could run dry by the year 2033. And if that happens, everyone's payments could be cut by about 20%. So this isn't just about one raise. It's about whether the system we've all paid into is still equipped to take care of us. So what does this mean for everyday life? For a lot of folks over 60, this year hasn't exactly started off easy. The bills just keep coming. Medical expenses are a huge burden, especially if you have chronic conditions. Even with Medicare, those out-of-pocket costs can really add up. Housing is another pain point. Whether you're renting, downsizing, or hanging on to your family home, everything's more expensive, and fixed income doesn't stretch like it used to. Then there's the tech side. These days, everything's online. Your benefit statements, your Medicare plans, even filing appeals. But not everyone has reliable internet, and honestly, some of these websites feel like they were designed to confuse you on purpose. On top of that, the government recently announced plans to lay off thousands of staff and close several regional offices. That means longer wait times, fewer people to talk to, and more hoops to jump through. It's a lot to manage, and most of us are just doing our best to stay afloat. That's why I always say, this isn't just a YouTube channel, it's a community. We cover the tough stuff here without judgment. So if you've been feeling the pressure, whether it's financial, emotional, or just trying to figure out who to call when things go wrong, drop a comment below. Someone else here has probably been through it too, and might even have a tip to help you out. Up next, I'll walk you through a few smart moves that can actually help you breathe a little easier this year. So let's get into what you can actually do, because even when the system feels out of touch, you still have options. And some of them can make a real difference. First, review your Medicare plan. Every year during open enrollment, you have a chance to compare plans. And believe me, it's worth it. Prescription prices change, coverage shifts, and sometimes your current plan isn't the best deal anymore. A quick switch could save you anywhere from $50 to $100 a month. And if that sounds overwhelming, talk to a SHIP counselor. That's a free service in every state. They'll sit down with you and help you compare, step by step. Second, see if you qualify for income-based assistance. A lot of seniors miss out on savings because they assume they won't qualify. But programs like Extra Help for prescriptions, Medicare savings programs, Medicaid, or utility assistance have broader limits than most people think. If you're living on a fixed income, it's absolutely worth checking. You could end up cutting your drug costs, getting help with premiums, or lowering your utility bills by a few $100s a year. Fourth, tighten the budget without doing it alone. If you're trying to stretch every dollar, don't be afraid to ask for help. From a family member, a financial coach at your credit union, or even a budgeting app made for seniors. Some nonprofits even offer free classes or workshops. You don't have to figure it all out by yourself. And finally, stay informed and stay loud. The more we understand how this system works, the better positioned we are to make smart decisions. But beyond that, your voice matters. Contact your representatives. Join senior advocacy groups like AARP or the National Council on Aging. Share your experience online. Every comment, every call, every story adds pressure where it's needed. You've got more power than you think. And when we share what we know, when we help each other out, that's how we take back control. So now we've covered the small raise, the higher costs, and a few tools you can use to make things work better. But there's one more thing you need to hear, and that's what's coming if Congress doesn't act. This whole system is built on what's called pay-as-you-go. That means today's workers are funding today's retirees. But in 2024, the money coming in was less than the money going out. The only way to cover that was by pulling from the trust fund. If nothing changes, that fund could run out by 2033. And if it does, benefits could be cut by up to 20% across the board. That's not fear-mongering. That's the math. We've still got time to fix it. But only if people speak up, pay attention, and push for change. No one's going to fight for our future unless we do it together. Look, I know this stuff isn't easy to navigate. It's frustrating when you've worked your whole life, paid in faithfully, and now, when you need it the most, you're asked to make do with less. But you are not alone. Millions of people are trying to stretch their checks, figure out the fine print, and avoid slipping through the cracks. That's why this channel exists. It's not just about updates. It's about creating a space where real people can share what's working, what's not, and how to face it all together. So let's connect. Drop a comment and tell me, did your check actually help this year, or did it feel like smoke and mirrors? And if this helped you feel even a little more informed or a little less alone, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got more coming, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Because we've earned the right to age with dignity, and we're going to keep showing up for each other, one conversation at a time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.